And there's a magic in the sound of their name. Here come the Irish of Notre Dame. Before each football game, you can hear the song Here Come the Irish by Kathy Richardson from miles away from the stadium. According to the NCAA 2017 stats, Notre Dame is ranked number 2 for the most wins, with 896 wins, and that doesn't include the 3 wins they already had this season. Notre Dame football is surrounded by history, legacy, and tradition. Each of these aspects have built up to what Notre Dame is today, one of the most winning teams in the country. Growing up in Granger, Indiana, and living 5 minutes from Notre Dame's campus, I always knew Saturdays during the fall were for Notre Dame football. So first, I will give you insight to the history of Notre Dame football. Second, I will discuss the legacy of not only the players but the coaches as well. And lastly, I will talk about the traditions that have gone on for over a century. Notre Dame football started on November 23rd, 1887. This was the first ever game held at Notre Dame where Notre Dame played Michigan at home on Carter Field and ended up losing 8-0. It wasn't until Notre Dame's second season when they finally had a win against Harvard Preparatory School out of Chicago. The day they played Harvard Prep at home, Carter Field was packed, and in 1887, packed means about 500 students and residents of South Bend. The win against Harvard was only the beginning of the legacy Notre Dame would soon have. According to Notre Dame football's historical site, there have been over 30 different head coaches. While each has made an impact at Notre Dame, there are 3 who us Townies have the most respect for due to the legacy that they have left at Notre Dame. The first coach to leave his mark at Notre Dame was Knute Rockne. Rockne is responsible for the new stadium that seats over 81,000 people, and the stadium is now called the house that Rockne built. Rockne coached for 13 years where he had 5 unbeaten and untied seasons, and still to this day has the highest winning percentage of any college football coach. Rockne is also responsible for the notorious Play Like a Champion sign that has become a phenomenon all over the country, and you can find his statue in front of the house that Rockne built. In 1951, Rockne was inducted into the Football Hall of Fame for having the highest winning percentage. The next coach to leave his mark at Notre Dame was Frank Leahy. Leahy built up Notre Dame's legacy even more with 6 undefeated seasons and 5 national championships over the 11 years he was at Notre Dame. Because of his undefeated seasons and national championships, Leahy was inducted into the Football Hall of Fame in 1970. The third coach is actually a family friend, Ara Parseghian. During Ara's time at Notre Dame, he won 2 consecutive national championships. After only 1 year at Notre Dame, he was named Coach of the Year and was added into the Football Hall of Fame in 1980. Recently, Ara has passed away, yet his legacy still stands strong. Today, Ara's name is on both field goal posts and each of the players' helmets. Rockne and Parseghian were also the main factors in recruiting George Gipp and Rudy Rudiger. If you don't know these names, I highly recommend watching Win One for the Gipper and Rudy. Rudy and Gipp both played at Notre Dame and made their mark, which also landed them both a movie deal. Now that I have told you about the legacies at Notre Dame, let's talk about tradition. With a long history of over 100 years of football at Notre Dame, tradition is key. One of the oldest, most known traditions is the Four Horsemen. The Four Horsemen stand for Rockne's back line from 1921 to 1924. These men are a symbol of power, and according to Notre Dame's 125 memorable moments, none of the men stood over 6 feet tall, nor did they weigh over 184 pounds. Yet these men are still considered to be the best backline Notre Dame has ever seen. The Four Horsemen can also be seen on another tradition, which is called the shirt. Each year since 1990, Notre Dame comes out with an annual shirt for the season. These shirts are used to help raise money for the school. When the shirt was first made, there were only 300 of them made and for sale. The shirt sold so fast that they had to make more shirts, and in the first year they sold 9,000 shirts. To give you an idea of sales today, according to theshirt.nd.edu, Notre Dame sold about 150 shirts in 2016 alone. So today I have shared with you the history of Notre Dame football and how the team came to be. Second, I discussed the legacy of the coaches and some of the players. And lastly, I have shared some of the traditions of Notre Dame football. Notre Dame football is surrounded by history, legacy, and tradition. Each of these aspects have helped to build up to what the team is today, one of the most winning teams in the country. People from all over the country, such as Regis Philbin, John Bon Jovi, and Owen Wilson, come to Notre Dame football games to get a taste of the Irish. Notre Dame football has been around since 1887, and many of the traditions are still the same, such as having the band at every home game and away game since the first game ever. Notre Dame holds legacies for not only players such as Joe Montana or Brady Quinn, but also the coaches. The legacy that Era and Rockne built is still present and respected today. Now that I have told you a little bit about my home team, what can you tell me about your home team?